Come on. Welcome back, everyone. We are back with the final episode of the day, and I am your host, Marissa. Welcome to Smoke and Meteoras, the podcast where we talk about the moments that matter and the struggles talents face on the rise. This week, for my last episode, I am joined by none other than Blair Onyx. Thank you so much for joining me this week. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, let's just dive right on in. I start these podcasts with the same question every time, and that question is, what is the dumbest thing that you have done for wrestling?
Oh my goodness. This is a good question. The dumbest thing. I mean, I feel like it's joining wrestling is a risk. So sometimes I would joke around and say like kind of putting all my eggs in one basket and, kind of making myself figure it out in wrestling was maybe not the smartest thing. I don't want to say dumb, but I definitely think like even pursuing it and taking a risk and You know, there was times when I would say that would be per se the thing, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I don't think anything's stupid. I feel like every decision we make is for a reason. And, we always make decisions with the best intentions in mind. So maybe that's just a hard question for me to answer.
Yeah, no. Sometimes that happens. All right. I think I just scrolled to the complete end of my thing. Oh, okay, here we go. So, going back to the beginning, before you had even stepped foot into a wrestling ring, what kind of kid were you growing up?
I was always trying to make jokes. I was trying to be funny. Like I was like a class clown. I always loved WWE. Like I would always tell everyone in my high school that I wanted to be a diva. And it's really cool to me that now I've been wrestling for 7.5 years and it's been such a wild ride.
Absolutely. So, were you naturally creative and expressive as a child, or was that something that had to come with the wrestling?
Hmm, I think I was always creative. I didn't really have a lot of outlets to express my creativity. When I was younger, I was just a really big wrestling fan. And when I was in high school, I picked up basic weightlifting at the gym. And then once I entered my wrestling school, which I did my junior year of college, the summer, it was just kind of all wrestling from there. So I've always been kind of into horror movies. I've always been into like the darker side of wrestling per se. So it kind of just all came together naturally.
So, what first emotionally connected you to wrestling?
Hmm. I just love the stories. I love the characters. I thought it was such entertaining TV. I watched it since I was very little, like 6 years old. Um, I stopped watching maybe for late middle school, early high school. I thought I was too cool for it for a little bit, maybe. Or I don't know, sometimes you lose interest in stuff. And then it was around when Paige was making her main roster debut, is when I kind of got back into it. And then I became obsessed all over again. And then I just kind of it started off a little bit as like a joke with my friends that I wanted to be a wrestler because I wasn't like equipped to do this. I didn't like make the badminton team in high school. Like I wasn't an athlete whatsoever, but I really, really, really liked WWE and wrestling. So when I was 20, I was like, let's give it a shot. And now we're here. So
So, when you first did get into wrestling, do you remember the first wrestler or character that completely fascinated you and indulged you in the world of wrestling?
I remember right before I joined wrestling school, it was kind of like the black and gold era of NXT. And I was really kind of enthralled by Aleister Black and the entrance and the candles and all of that. I love the production of it. And when I'm watching wrestling and like you see someone just come out and you kind of get like little goosebumps, I always feel like they're kind of doing something there. It's kind of like an energy thing.
Absolutely. And he's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
So, did wrestling feel like an escape, maybe empowerment or inspiration, or maybe something else for you when you first started?
Sure, absolutely. I would definitely say so because I felt, I don't know, I've never really like hit anybody or anything like that. And it was cool to do something and get better at something that came so, so difficult for me. Like I wasn't one of the wrestlers that kind of picked it up right away. It took a lot. It took a lot of help for me, but I'm very grateful for where I'm at.
So, was there a moment where watching wrestling turned more into you wanting to become a part of it rather than just staying a fan?
Hmm. I always kind of knew I wanted to do it. Um, it was more so like, am I being serious or is this just kind of something that I just joke around with my friends? But I remember I was going to university and I would always drive on 55 north in like Chicago area and there was always little billboards of 1 hour tees, like a t-shirt printing company here, and it had Colt Cabana on it, like flexing. And I would just always see it every day driving to school, and I was like, I don't really want to go to school. I want to do that. And it was a big risk, you know. I didn't really think that I would be here from ever trying it. I just kind of joined the school kind of to see if I would quit and if it would be too hard. I was really scared to do it, but that is what kind of kept me hooked to it too. Like I did something that I'm scared of, which I feel like is hard for us to do as people, but I don't know. That's just kind of how I live my life now. I like to do things that scare me because I know what it leads to. It leads to growth.
So, I keep losing my spot today. This is
Okay.
terrible.
It's okay.
So, what is something that younger Blair would never believe about who you have become today?
Well, I'll kind of start with like maybe a moment I just had. Like I just had an opportunity to wrestle in front of John Cena and have him kind of tell me what I'm doing well and what I can grow in. And younger Blair would have not believed that. That's so cool. And to even be able to travel as much as I have and wrestle as much as I have. Like I wrestled so many girls for so long now, like 7.5 years. I don't know, I've just had so much fun in my career so far, and I feel like maybe in 5 years' time, I'll look back and still be in disbelief of how much I've done. I feel like the best is still yet to come.
And looking back now, what do you think wrestling gave you emotionally before it gave you these opportunities?
I feel like wrestling always gave me a lot of confidence. I wasn't the most confident growing up. That's still honestly something that I struggle with at 28. So like I think it's just kind of a lifelong journey for me and maybe a lot of people. Um, I think wrestling makes me feel strong. It makes me feel like empowered and it like seeing growth in wrestling makes me feel more confident in like the business side of things too. I feel like when I joined wrestling, it was just kind of for fun, just to see if I could do it. And now that I've been able to do it and like make the majority of my living off of it, that's insane to me.
Absolutely. And you've been wrestling for quite a while now, and it's no secret you've gone by different identities throughout the years. But before Source existed, did you feel creatively incomplete?
I wouldn't say I felt incomplete. I just feel like my character always went through kind of an evolution. Like I'll do something and then it's working and then I'm having fun and then just naturally I kind of want to see what else I can do and see what else can work. I never like to stay stagnant in one thing.
Absolutely. So, tell me a little bit more about Source finding you and when it first entered your mind.
I've always been into horror. I've always been kind of interested in portraying a character that's just kind of a little off. I've really resonated with different kinds of characters through wrestling. So I actually got Source. I really got into tarot one winter, and the tarot readers on TikTok too. It's horrible. Um, and the tarot readers would always say Source, and I wanted my character to be kind of controlled by an entity. Like I didn't want to be kind of like I don't want to say crazy, but like just kind of jittery all the time. I wanted to just kind of be myself and then be kind of like have a switch. I thought that was different. So I remember the first time with all of my ideas, I just kind of think of it and I try it at a show and I see how the fans react. So I remember I started talking to the turnbuckle first, and then I watched it back on camera, and I don't know, I just kind of looked like I was talking to fans. So that's what made me decide to kind of start talking to the ceiling because I thought it also looked like more clear on what I was doing. So it just kind of all came together over time.
So, what inspired the transformation creatively?
I guess I just kind of got bored in doing the same thing. Really, there's really nothing else to it. I just sometimes I'll be doing something and I'll start to feel a little antsy and then and maybe even a little bored. So I tell myself like, hey, if I'm getting bored, maybe the fans are getting bored. And I all that matters to me is that my career in wrestling keeps growing. So in regards to kind of what specific character I do or what I'm portraying, I'm very open to changing it and I'm very open to like exploring new avenues. And I think that's what makes wrestling a lot of fun, not to keep yourself like in one box.
So, what is Source to you?
Source is everything to me. It's the source of it all.
So, what emotions does this character allow you to express?
I don't know. You like happy? I don't know. It's a lot of emotional switches that I do. It's like happiness, and I feel like there's anger and sadness, and maybe it comes so natural to me because I'm naturally a little bit of a moody person. Like I'll be really happy about something, and then I'll see something that upsets me, and then it upsets me for a while. Like maybe there's more to unpack there, but I just I feel I've always felt like the character of Blair Onyx was very true to kind of how I am. Like I'm a little bit of a twitchy person, so and nervous. Like I always get nervous before I perform. So having a character that kind of has that embedded into it, it just all kind of made sense. I like to do things that like feel right to me and make sense.
So, is Source a reflection of yourself or something completely separate?
I would say completely separate. I think Source is more of something that controls Blair Onyx versus something that has anything to do with me personally.
So, What part of your personal self exists the most inside your character?
I think honestly how excited I am. I think Blair, especially in like around Chicago, where I'm kind of more of a good guy because I'm from here essentially. Well, I wasn't born here, but I pretty much grew up here. Um, I get to share how excited I am to be around all the fans and at the shows. I generally find so much enjoyment in wrestling, and then I can have that switch still where I can then be controlled by Source. So it's kind of, to me, best of both worlds.
So, has portraying Source changed your confidence outside of wrestling now that it's became your new character?
Um, I wouldn't say so. I feel like I've always been on like a own separate journey in life. I think maybe it gave me confidence because another one of my ideas kind of worked. So it always feels good to just kind of think of something and then, oh, let's just try it out. And then other audience members and like workers in the business too are telling me it's good and it resonates. So it gives me more confidence. Sorry, am I okay? More
Yeah.
confidence in my creative ability.
So, was there a moment where the character stopped feeling like a presentation and really started feeling real for the fans?
Um, I honestly think the first time I tried it, like the audience members were already with it. So I remember I was in a freelance rumble. Freelance wrestling is a company out here in Chicago, and I started to kind of be on the apron while everyone was fighting in there, and I would be talking to the ceiling, and it was honestly one I think the first time I did it, and people when I got to the back, a lot of people made comments to me about how it was cool and it stood out, and I felt like the audience members that I were on the side where I was doing that were really getting into it. So it kind of, I don't know, picked up quite quickly.
So, for people who haven't seen you perform with Source, what do you want people to feel when they experience it?
I just want them to be entertained. Like fans pay their hard-earned money and they give up their free time to come see us perform. So for me, if they're entertained, excited, whatever, then we did our jobs.
Absolutely. So, learning a little bit more of the ropes after making your debut and getting into this character and everything, how difficult is it to learn to exist confidently in such a visual industry?
It's hard. It's hard. I feel like with anyone, we're all human beings. We all have our confident days. We all have our insecure days. Um, I think the thing that keeps me going on days where I don't feel my best is what I just said, like fans are coming here, and I always remember like there might be one person in that room where this event is all they had to look forward to this week. So if I'm having a boo-boo day for those 10, 15 minutes, a longer, shorter, whatever time I'm out there, I'm there to do my job, have fun. It's my dream, and it's it's all essentially about making the fans happy.
So, have you ever dealt with or struggled with dealing with perfectionism?
Yes, every day. Like there every single match I have, there's not one. There's something that I'm like, ah, if only I did this, if only I did that. Like that's so real. That's definitely something I struggle with, something I want to get better at. Um, and I'm always one to be thinking about, okay, what's next? Like I'll have something that I've been working for so long, um, come to fruition or something so crazy, so unexpected, and I enjoy it. I'm grateful, I'm present, but then I always feel like I could enjoy it more because I'm just the kind of person that I believe in momentum. I believe good things like accumulate over time. So when things start to go, maybe a little too good, in my opinion, like I'm always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. So not saying that this is like a good way to be, but that's just kind of how I am currently in my journey. But I want to cherish special moments, especially lately. I feel like the past 2 years of my career have been so blessed, so amazing. So I definitely want to soak in these moments more because there were years and years where nothing really picked up like this, and I was praying for situations like these. So that's kind of like somewhere where I'm at personally right now.
So, when it comes to all of the pressure and emotions and everything else, what is emotionally harder for you? Criticism from yourself or from others, whether it be fans or your peers?
Definitely myself, because that's just, I don't know. Most of the time, when someone externally is coming to me about something, it's because they want me to be better and they believe in me and it's a growth thing versus criticism for myself. That can be never ending. Like you can't really escape it, especially if like we have perfectionism traits that we were talking about earlier. It's kind of hard to get out of that cycle. So I would definitely would say that would be harder for me.
And a lot of people tend to say, like, we are our own worst enemies. So,
Yeah. And we can really, really, if we're not careful, hold ourselves back from reaching our fullest potential for not, I don't know. I'm also lately, I'm a big advocate of resting. And I feel like we live in such a grind, hustle, go, now, everything now culture. And like, especially with how social media is. And I think about it all the time. It's just such a go, go, go life. And learning to rest, I feel like a lot of people struggle with feeling guilt when they rest. And that is something I feel as though I have worked through. And now I can actually enjoy time off, enjoy rest, and actually rest during rest versus just feel guilty. And I think there's a lot of confidence in that. There's a lot of confidence in saying, "Hey, I can skip this training this one day. That's not going to mess anything up for me because I know I'm consistent. I can spend the day with my friends. I can do this. I can balance my life." And it's I maybe a lot of wrestlers would disagree with me on this and not saying that they're wrong, but I think knowing that you can rest and take time off and it might actually help. It takes a lot to be able to do that and a lot of belief in your work and your ability and your work ethic.
so have you ever had any moments where you were ever pressured to tone yourself down creatively?
Um, Not really. That's so good though, you know? I feel like most places have always just kind of booked me for kind of what they see on my social media, and what I do at the shows is never really too far off of what I post to brand myself. So, I've never really had a company really tell me that I can't do what I want, really. And maybe that's one of the blessings of being on the indies and having so much creative control, so much creative freedom. Um, yeah, not really.
So, what is something that you've experienced as a woman that you feel is emotionally overlooked?
Like in regards to in wrestling,
Yes.
um, I guess I really don't know how to answer that question. I feel like the girls in wrestling, um, we kind of stick together. Yeah, of course, like with any type of show business, there's always some forms of drama here and there, but I feel like we do try to look out for each other. And I feel like I've met so many awesome girls throughout my time in wrestling. So I guess I really never felt at all emotionally overlooked per se.
Okay. So, how do you avoid letting social media shape how you view yourself?
Yes. I have it all muted on my phone. I'm a big fan of Post and Ghost. I like to kind of stay on a little bit just to reply to a few comments. I actually try to reply to everybody because I think it boosts the engagement. I think it gets your posts out to more people, and I really treat it more so as a job versus maybe when I was younger, I would view, for example, like how much interaction I got on the post as a direct reflection of my worth. Like it would just immediately go to that. Say I get, let me throw out a random number, 300 likes on a post one day. I'll be like, yeah. Next day, I post, I get 100, and then I'm sad. That didn't make sense to me. And it didn't make it fun or good. And I remember there was one time I asked someone about it, and what really resonated with me is they said, don't really look at the number, get your content out there. If people are engaging, just use it as data. Great. But sometimes all it takes is one set of eyes to see your work, like one right set of eyes, and it can change everything. That's one like, it's one. So social media in this day and age can be like so draining. It's comparison runs everywhere, jealousy runs everywhere. I think it's really important to remember that it's a highlight reel of everyone's life. And for me, for example, it's more of kind of essentially my LinkedIn or, um my business card. Essentially, it's everything I do. So, looking at it and framing it that way has helped me avoid a lot of negative emotions when it comes to social media.
So, what is something that you've learned about yourself through wrestling that may have surprised you?
I can do hard things.
Hard. So, what would
Yeah.
you consider hard things?
Wrestling. Oh my, it was so hard for me. Like, I remember I was the worst one in the class. I just loved WWE. I loved wrestling. I loved the storylines. And I've had so many challenges in my wrestling career. Um, and to come out through all of them and like even the few years where I was really messing up in my career, like I didn't feel like my heart was fully in it. Like I loved wrestling. I never stopped loving wrestling, but there was a few years where I was really struggling. So part of me looks back on that time and I wonder, like should I have stopped wrestling at that time because now it's everyone has this kind of image of me. But at the same time, like at that time wrestling was kind of all I was still excited about. It was all I really had. So I'm glad that I didn't quit during that time because who knows if I would have come back and had this whole amazing few years that I've just had. And I take a lot of pride in it now because people who are struggling can maybe look at my story and my journey and see how much I struggled and how it's so possible to get out of it and create like a better life than I've ever had.
And so, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe you were a part of the Lodestone seminar in Vegas this past WrestleMania weekend.
I was not. I wish though. I've always
All
wanted
right.
to do it. I've applied
My
to both, but I was not there.
all
But
right,
I was
my
I was
mistake.
watching the posts. I was jelly.
So we'll move on then, and you've recently stated earlier in the episode that you had the opportunity to train with John Cena. Um, what was going through your head walking into that environment?
I just had to I told myself just calm down. Calm down. Like I couldn't get I knew that I couldn't get inside my own head because it would have hurt my wrestling. It would have hurt my character. I had to relax. It's way easier said than done, but my only kind of game plan was just to remember that I know what I'm doing. And the preparation for what I was about to deliver in the ring has already been done. Like the work that I've put in the past few years, it's already done. So this is the reward. This is the reward. You get to showcase everything that I've been working on in front of the greatest to ever do it. So I was talking to my friends kind of leading up to it, and I was saying that I'm not emotionally processing this at all until it's the match is over and then it's done, because I just didn't want my nerves to be the reason why I messed up.
Absolutely. So, what stood out the most about Cena as a teacher or a mentor for you?
He was just, for one, his energy. I've never been around someone that is that famous. It was it was really interesting to see. And from just the advice that he gave me, not just me, all the other students that got to perform in front of him, it was all so, so honest and so helpful. And he was able to deliver criticism and honest criticism in a way that didn't make the person receiving it feel diminished or less than or small. It was genuine help. Like, you could tell that he has the biggest heart for this business, and for him to kind of wrap up his in-ring career and now use a lot of that time and energy to give back to newer wrestlers really shows how much he genuinely cares about pro wrestling and loves pro wrestling. And I think this business needs so many more people like that.
So, was there something that he may have said that immediately stuck with you? Maybe it was something that he said to all of you in general, or just something personally to you?
I wouldn't say like anything in particular that he said, but just maybe so the way he carried himself. I was really like, he, after we all had our matches, because not everybody got to wrestle, like there was probably over 100 people there and only 4 matches. So the majority of the people actually did not get to wrestle for him. So I was also walking into this opportunity knowing how lucky and blessed and honored I was to even be chosen for it. But after the matches and after he took notes for all of us and then gave us um very helpful advice. And after the matches, he kind of had one-on-one sessions with a lot of people who didn't get to wrestle in front of him. So he just kind of gave us like all of his energy and resources while the time he was able to be there. So I guess I was really like happy to see how giving he was, and he was just a very personable person to talk to.
So, did that experience shift your mindset, whether it be creatively or professionally, moving forward with your career?
Maybe. I feel like this is one of this is one of these opportunities that I didn't think, would happen. So maybe now that I've been through this experience, I am a lot more motivated. I was very, very motivated before. I didn't think I could get more motivated, but now I am, because I like to treat situations like this, like once in a lifetime opportunities, as per se like fruits of my labor. I worked so, so hard, and there was times when I was working and nothing was coming, but if you stay consistent and you persevere and you really, really set in on this one goal, over time, I do believe fruits of your labors start to arise. And I think it's really important that once a fruit of your labor is here and you experience it and it feels amazing, like a lot of people interacted with my post on it. It's like this huge dopamine rush. I think the most important thing is to ground yourself, come down from it, and just keep doing what you were doing. If not, go harder. I think sometimes a lot of us fall into kind of a sense of comfort once success comes, because it's, oh, I've worked so hard, I got this, all right, like, whew, versus maybe it's actually like put your foot even more on the gas. And I think that's how we essentially, you know, I don't know, reach our dreams or something. But who am I to say, I don't know anything. But for me, coming out of this experience, I feel a lot more motivated, and I'm going to use what he told me to develop my character further and develop my wrestling skills further. So I'm very excited to kind of get back to training and failing and working and all the fun stuff. Not fun stuff too. It's also part of it.
So, what is a lesson from that experience that you think you'll carry for the rest of your career?
Probably that sometimes good things can come out of nowhere. So just kind of stay the course. You never know when a blessing is going to fall in your lap.
All right. So, we've talked a lot about source, transformation, and creative evolution, but I want to get to know a little bit more about the person underneath it all.
Sure.
So, what's a part of yourself that you've had to fight to hold on to throughout your wrestling career?
That's a hard question to say. If I'm being honest, like kind of keeping that inner fan that wouldn't believe anything that I'm doing today alive. Because when we start doing things for a job, per se, and it starts to get competitive, you start to see like no job is perfect. So you start to see kind of the sides of, per se, the business. My love for wrestling and how big of a fan I was, and the fact that I even had one match in the first place is insane to me. I've always really fought to keep that alive inside of me, because it makes all the accomplishments feel so much better. It makes like kind of putting everything into perspective of how special and rare all of this is. And we get to chase our dreams and we get to live our dreams. And so many people in this world do not get an opportunity to do that. And I think it's maybe human nature to kind of always look at what we don't have. And maybe it's a survival mechanism we picked up, it's a threat. But keeping everything into perspective, and even at the Cena seminar, I talked to one of my Black and Brave coaches. His name is Crotch. Um, he told me to remember like who I was when I first started there and how like um I would feel at that time if I knew all the stuff that I've done. And keeping myself in that mindset is very helpful, and it helps me stay in a more positive thinking route.
So, do you think that wrestling helped you discover who you are, or maybe helped you become the person that you are today outside of the ring?
Absolutely. I feel like I've really transformed through wrestling in my confidence as a person. Um, I feel like I've I found my purpose. Like I've always knew that I loved wrestling very much, but to have something to work towards every single day has taught me a lot about hard work and perseverance, and like to keep going when things are tough and they might not get better. It's just taught me so many life lessons. And I started wrestling when I was 20. Now I'm 28. So to like be in this industry during, I feel as though, a very significant developmental part of our lives, I just maybe view the world in a different lens just because this is kind of all I've really done in my like adult life. Which is a I think what I do is an amazing thing, but at the same time with anything there also comes sacrifice. Like I've lost friends because I decided to pursue wrestling. I maybe wasn't the best friend at times because I had to travel, I had to do this, I had to it's a very selfish business, but I think what helps me is knowing that what we do at the same time helps a lot of people. And when I was growing up, wrestling was always something that really kept me entertained and happy and motivated. So there's nothing in this life that like you get for free. There's trade-offs to everything. There's trade-offs to living your dream. Um but I genuinely wouldn't have ever done it any other way. I feel like I'm exactly where I was always meant to be.
And I can relate to that in a sense myself, although I myself am not a wrestler. I got into
Mhm,
wrestling at a very young age too,
mhm,
and I mean, I'm only a year older than you, so we've kind of been around for just as long. And at a young age, I knew I wanted to be involved in it somehow myself, and I knew
mhm,
I wasn't ever going to be medically cleared to step into a ring. So
mhm.
trying to find my place in this business was a little bit harder, but
Sure.
once I realized like where my spot was and where I fit in, like it all just kind of came to fruition.
Yeah.
And even relating to giving back to the fans and giving them something to be entertained with or something to look forward to, like that kind of resonates with the whole reason behind why I started this podcast in the first place. So seeing that I have a small relation to some wrestlers in a sense is kind of a cool thing to me as a fan.
Sure.
So what is something that you understand about yourself now that maybe you didn't when you first started?
Mm, maybe kind of going back to I can do hard things. Um, and that I'm very stubborn. I really was adamant on making this a big part of my life, and I'm still doing it. And I don't know, I feel like I've kind of grown into the woman I am today because of this industry and kind of how I've lived my life in my 20s.
So has there been a moment where you realized you were becoming the person the younger you maybe needed?
Sure. I feel like especially in the past few years when I kind of really took my career to a new level, um I didn't think that I would be able to do it per se. Not that I'm even at this like huge crazy accomplishment level, but to me, I am because where I was at in my career a few years ago compared to now, to me is like night and day. So, I think when I was younger, I just didn't have that much confidence in my ability to do difficult things. It was something that I really struggled with. So, if I told my younger self that I kind of pulled off becoming a pro wrestler, like it would just be insane. So I feel like younger me would be really proud of me. So
And what is something that you hope never changes about who you are, no matter how much success may come your way?
I always want to keep my level of empathy for others high. And I want to be able to see where I'm like failing and showing up not the best and kind of always see that I'm not always right and look at my own mistakes and grow from it.
Okay. And the last serious question. When people connect with Source, what part of you do the English language apparently not my thing today. When people connect with Source, what part of you do you think they're actually connecting to?
Maybe just kind of the goofy side. I hope when people see me perform that they feel entertained and they feel, um, I don't know, sometimes us as humans, we experience a bunch of complex emotions at the same time. And especially when we're younger, for example, our teenage years, sometimes like emotions really control our life. And I think in my character, I'm able to express such a multitude of emotions, like to be really happy to like serious. And in a way, I feel like that's kind of relatable to people. And I think the wrestlers that always resonate with us are kind of something we see part of ourselves in them. So if me portraying the character that I do makes people who are struggling feel seen, or a lot of little kids also really like my character, and like when little girls come up to me and they're so excited, it was me. That's me when I was little standing in front of me. So that always feels good, and it feels good to kind of be like a fighter and show these little girls that, you know, they can fight too. I don't know. I feel like when I was a little kid and I watched WWE like crazy at the time, it was kind of like a weird per se thing to do. And I feel like wrestling has become like a lot more mainstream per se. It's hard for me to actually gauge it because now I work in it, so of course wrestling is now my whole life, but it seems like liking wrestling is kind of cool. So, what a win, you know?
Absolutely. And even myself, I've seen throughout the years where on WWE per se, where women maybe weren't portrayed in the greatest light. And now it's a completely different scenario. Now women aren't eating dog food off the floor or barking at their boss. Now they're actually getting matches and people actually want to watch them, and they're getting main events and they're getting up there, and it's definitely something that I've been proud to see over the years, and I'm glad to see that more women are getting more opportunities because it's definitely something that I've advocated since forever pretty much.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And then I think it's also important to remember that maybe there were times where it wasn't the most ideal way, but I have so much respect for the women that paved the way and fought. And I know I wouldn't be where I'm personally at today if it wasn't for all the generations before. So I just feel so blessed to be in a time where I have so many opportunities. So it's a lot to think about and something that I'm very grateful for.
All right, so let's end this on a fun note. So, if you had to change your entire aesthetic going into a next match and have a completely new vibe, what gimmick would you be going with?
I would do something like really funny or something really opposite from me. Maybe like a cowgirl, Western. Why not?
All right. So, if somebody were to make a Blair Onyx action figure, what accessories must absolutely come with it?
If it had my little finger claws that I wear sometimes, that would be awesome. That would be a really cool action figure, I feel like.
I would I would buy it. So, you're now booked for a show that is cross country, but unfortunately they did not book you a flight and you have to drive. But you are only allowed to listen to 5 bands or artists along the way. Who are we listening to?
I like this. Okay, Tate McRae, Billie Eilish, Pitbull, um, Lana Del Rey. I have one more. Brockhampton.
Okay. So, what is your most irrational fear that completely destroys your intimidating aura?
I'm scared of spiders. Yeah, big time. I don't like bugs.
Felt. So, if Source were to have a favorite snack or drink, what do you think it would be?
Snack, I'm gonna say a donut. I love donuts. Probably not the healthiest, but I don't know. I'm not like a big snack person. I'm never like, let me get a bag of almonds. No hate to the almond loving community, but like I like my meal prep and then my snacks are usually non-existent or I have something fun. Like I go get ice cream or I get a donut because I'm a big fan of 80/20. Drink, I would say a Celsius. I really enjoy the Celsius energy drinks. Not the
Okay.
best habit either.
So, if you had to change your theme music and it could only be either a Disney, Nickelodeon, or I'm blanking. Cartoon Network, there we go. It could only be a song from either of those networks. What would your new theme song be?
With my current gimmick,
Yes.
probably the Courage the Cowardly Dog theme.
Okay. All right. You are getting the opportunity of a lifetime, and any fast food restaurant is offering the Blair Onyx value meal. Which fast food restaurant is going to have it, and what comes in the meal?
Oh my gosh. Okay, Taco Bell.
Everybody says Taco Bell. I love it.
Well, it's uh, for wrestlers where
So good.
the show ends, everything's pretty much closed. Taco Bell, such a variety. I'm definitely putting a steak grilled cheese burrito in there. I'm putting in a chicken quesadilla with nacho fries and a sugar-free Baja Blast.
That's literally like my order.
It's a wonderful order to have.
That
But like
is.
nowadays I order it, it's like $20.
I know.
Like
Or
it's
like
okay.
I'm not a huge fan of like the creamy jalapeno sauce that they put on the quesadillas, so I tell them to go light and it's like, "Nope, we're going to glob it right here and right here." I'm like, "All right, thanks guys."
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it is an acquired taste, but I am a fan of it. I do enjoy it. I've gotten it without it.
It's
It
not the
was miss
same.
it was a missing a little something. So I
Yeah.
do think it's a good touch.
All right. If you could instantly teleport to any concert, movie premiere, or horror convention in history, where are you going?
Probably I don't know the exact one, but do you remember Queen had that really famous concert?
Yes.
That
There was a
one.
couple of them.
The one where they really based it off that movie. That or like the movie was
Okay,
based off
the
it.
like
The
the
"Hey-oh,"
benefit show, yeah, the benefit show for
Eh,
Africa.
Like that was that the energy in there looked insane. So that's where I would want to go.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that.
Hmm.
And all right, for the last one, what is something that fans would never expect you to be genuinely nerdy or passionate about?
Maybe like I'm such like a boring person. Like I don't really do much. I'm a wrestler and I have my crazy side through that and performing and but besides that, I'm really like I love going into nature. I love sewing. I make my own gear, so I sew. Um I like to read books. I don't I it's really rare that I party these days. Not always in my life, but at my age today, which isn't even old, but I just feel like I have entered such a calm era of my life. And per se, like me in high school, I would think that that was boring or lame or whatever it is, but I've just been really prioritizing peace of mind and kind of regulating myself in such a crazy field like pro wrestling. Like performing itself is such a huge rush. So there's always with any rush, I think it's important to remember there's always a come down to baseline. And as performers, sometimes it's hard to have that like, oh my gosh, I'm performing in front of an arena. Now I'm alone in a hotel room. It's like highs and lows. So one that's been a huge challenge for me in wrestling, but I think sometimes you see people per se on TV, not that I'm on it, but you see these performers and they live these crazy lives and you think it's all fun and games and with anything there's like sacrifice or a downside. Um I don't live a crazy life. I feel like I'm kind of boring nowadays, but I think that's what's important to remember that we're all human beings. We're all just kind of trying our best. We all feel like we're a failure sometimes. We're all hard on ourselves. Just because someone's like on the other side of it doesn't mean that they're really any different from you. Like we all have our bad days. We all have days when like I don't want to go out. I always want to go out there, but like I don't feel fully confident. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna mess up a lot today because I'm just so in my head. Um, I just think that it's important to remember that we're all kind of on this journey of life together, and we're all gonna struggle and win and have good times, but it's like we're all kind of more alike than we think.
Alrighty, well, that is everything that I have for you this week. So thank you so much for joining us, Blair. And with that being said, we do have
Absolutely. Thank you
a
for having me.
of course. And with that being said, we do have that free 8x10 giveaway. So we have the Sasha Banks right here. My ring light is giving a terrible glare, but we have it right here. It is PSA certified and it does come with the card. And that is going to the one person that entered, Mr. A plus Zachary Levier. So congratulations to you, and we will get that to you. And with that being said, we do have 3 brand new episodes coming to you next week. We will be joined by Mr. Miles Hawkins. We will also be having Mr. Bobby Buffet later in the afternoon. And rounding off the announcements, Jameson Shook will also be joining us here in the space station, so tune in next week for those episodes. But that is everything that I have for you this week. Thank you for tuning in for all 3 episodes today if you did, or for just this one. But we will catch you next week, and we hope you have a great week. Have a great night.